Hello, I'm Doug and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel. And today on Brie-Like cheese number 18, we are looking at a French cheese called Pont-L'Évêque. I'm sure that's not the pronunciation. I've got about as much chance of saying that right as I have of being the French Prime Minister, but that's my guess. And this cheese is mentioned, one of the specialty items mentioned in Liz Thorpe's book, The Book of Cheese. So here's the page on Pont-L'Évêque. PDO, protected domain of origin, so you can't call it, you can't name your cheese this unless you're from that region. So here it says, cooked, cruciferous, stretchy, sticky, soft dough, roasted garlic, and bitter greens. Ooh, there's lots of funky notes there. So, and then she talks about the PDO body, or the governing authority for this particular cheese, has made a few changes in the last few years where they can't color it with annatto, and they did some sort of washing with a Brevibacterium linens. And the governing body said these cultures do not develop systematically, nor are they necessarily desirable. So they've made some changes to this product in the last few years, and I don't know if it's good or bad, but someone probably doesn't like it for that, and some people don't care, like me, because I don't know any better. So we're going to break into this thing. It's been out of the fridge for an hour or two now. All at room temperature, very soft, squishy, I can tell, and I sure hope I don't destroy the thing while I'm opening it. Oh yes. Ooh, nice texture on the outside rind. I don't know. That's very attractive, but I think I need to take the label off before I really get into it. So we will attempt that. Is it paper or plastic? Oh good, it came right off. No big deal. So this is a cow's milk cheese. It's one of the oldest types of cheese in France, so it's not aged very long. It's not aged very long, and it has to be aged at least 60 days, I think, to come to the US, because it's not made with pasteurized milk. But I think it ages longer than that and can come on over. So, smell-wise, I'm getting a little whiff of ammonia. Whew. Sell-by date was 6/15, 3 or 4 days ago. So I think the ammonia is going to dissipate and it's not going to be a big deal. Just kind of a brown aspect to the rind, and then there's the white part of the rind, which is probably the mold Penicillium candidum. So I don't know what to do besides start getting into the interior of the cheese and smashing it onto a cracker. So it's kind of soft on the inside, a little squishy, but it's tough enough. You have to work at spreading it, especially if you're breaking through the rind or trying to manipulate the rind into a different shape. So, there's a creaminess to it, some dairy notes, mushroomy characters, usually from the rind, and other things hard to describe. Something in the sweaty sock world, I would say. Let's go. Yes, it is sulfury, like broccoli or cabbage that's been cooked. You might be familiar with some of those smells from certain vegetables. Onions can be sulfury, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli. That's cruciferous vegetables. Kale, maybe. Let's go on a flatbread. Wow, I'm still getting, it's got a long finish, and it's kind of spicy and peppery and bright and sparkly. Wow, that's a long finish for one of these cheeses. Okay, that just kind of keeps going. So I'm going to go with bite number 2 here. There's plenty of salt in this cheese. Might be close to the point of being oversalted, but on a flatbread with very little salt, it's going to stand out a little more. But it doesn't bother me, but some people are going to notice the salt level yeah, it's not all that terribly wet. And you gotta work to spread it around. It's elastic and stretches, and you have to put it down firmly on the cracker. So yeah, this is a special cheese with special flavors that aren't going to be for everybody necessarily. Wow. Got a broccoli, no, let's go. Got kind of a caramelly and mapley note on that one, just as it was dying out. Interesting, maybe something savory. Bacony? There's a pile of bacon right here that might be smelly, but I don't think that's what's getting me. There's something savory in the cheese that is recalling really odd things. So let's try it again on this little wheat cracker with not much salt. Wow. This cracker is drier, crumblier, breadier, cakier, and kind of absorbs lots of the cheese, lots of the flavors. It's very fibrous, and when you chew it all up and smash it together, some of the flavors are not as strong as they were the first few times on the other crackers. Very, very odd. So, wow, yeah, it's squishing. It's got a very thick rind on the bottom. That's a little unusual to see that much thickness on one of the rinds. So, cheeses are all different, that's for sure. And I don't get to tell French cheesemakers much about how to do it. Or that you aren't going by the generalizations I read somewhere. So, there's a lot of cheese here. Let's see if I can get any other flavors out of it. The tanginess really stands out here when there's lots of it. Saltiness. And those sulfury notes don't really identify a vegetable. You know, it's not like eating broccoli. It's not like eating cauliflower or cabbage. But some of those things, and they're probably combinations of flavors and aromas. But man, they hit your tongue or your nasal apparatus, and you're thinking sulfury things. So some people might be more sensitive to that sort of thing than others. So just beware. Give it a taste first, if at all possible, if you think it might affect you that way. So let's do some sort of pairing. I've got cashews. I'll go cashews first. They tend to be subtle, not strong flavors, and I don't know. I haven't been able to predict how the nuts do in these pairings. You think they work, they don't. When you think they won't work, they do. Okay, lots of cashews on this thing. Let's try that. Salty, 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 salty. It's my first impression. And the cashews have a very mild, delicate flavor, and the cheese is really strong, but I had so many cashews on it, I could detect the cashews, but it doesn't necessarily go. It doesn't clash, but nothing special about the combination either, so I'd call that a fail. Let's do a little more modest amount of cheese on a plain cracker. And throw on a few dried blueberries. Yeah, that should be interesting. Yeah. And that should be enough. There we go. Here we go, dried blueberries on Pont-L'Évêque. Yeah, that worked. Tamed down the salt notes, tamed down the tanginess of the cheese, tamed down all the sulfury wet dog, and those what the heck is going on here notes. So I am pleased, intrigued. I will enjoy eating the rest of this cheese, but I don't think I'll buy it again. I don't recommend it much for others, unless someone walks up and says, do you have any cheeses that smell like old shoes and rotting cabbage? So if you like the reviews that you've been seeing here on this channel, please give this video a thumbs up and leave comments and questions down below. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell to get notified when the new videos come out. Sometimes on Mondays, sometimes other days. And we are marching along. We're probably going to end up with 25, 26 cheeses in this series and then move on to something else. I guess I better be thinking about what that might be. So I'm going to run out of cheeses here, or I won't be able to afford to buy another 30 cheeses like this. So I will move on to something else. So come back for the next Brie-Like cheese review, and cheers.